We have been running so incredibly hot over the latter part of this week. I could not wait to do this week's MLB recap video. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jason Money Mansman. Maybe I should start calling myself MLB Mansman if I keep picking games like this. But great to have you. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. Thank you to all our new subscribers. Hope you've been getting some enjoyment out of watching Big Bucks and I. Big Bucks will definitely be doing more videos in the future. He's been busy. But yeah, so without any further ado, MLB week recap. And I guess we have to start with the betting record because it has been incredible. 93 and 62 overall, but that's not really where the highlight is. 28 and 12 this week. We're on a 21 and 4 run the past 4 days. 19 and 12 best bets, 5 and 2 on our best bets over the week. What can we say? It was a tremendous week of baseball. We've been running incredibly hot, and we're looking to do that for the rest of the year. And if we could do that, we're going to make, a lot of money ourselves. And the hope is make some of you out there a lot of money. So hope you guys keep tuning into the picks, because this is why we do it, to try and help you guys make some money, in the same way that we're trying to make money ourselves. So that's what we're going for, and it's always good when you could do that. Could it be a little different this week? Really want to talk about some of the team leaders and league leaders, so maybe less of a sort of, disappointing teams compared to, teams that have been doing well. But just one thing I wanted to mention before I get into that is I think what's made the betting markets in the MLB so advantageous for the bettor is it just seems like that a lot of the bookmakers are not believing what they're seeing with their eyes. I mean, you look at some of the times the Pirates have been underdogs against the Dodgers, and, some of the times Houston's been favored in bad situations, and, some of the lines that have been made, it just seems like a lot of and it's weird because it's almost the opposite in football. In football, week one is sort of always the toughest week to bet. And then week two becomes the time you could really make money because week two is always overreaction Sunday, where somebody threw 354 touchdowns, all of a sudden their team gets bumped, 7 points. Like, it's such a reactionary market, whereas the MLB, it seems like, Houston's 500, St. Louis is 8 games under 500. The Yankees are struggling, and some of these big name teams just continue to sort of be favorited and get money that they shouldn't be getting just because of who they are. And in the same token, we've talked about it before, Pittsburgh Pirates have just been printing money for us. I mean, they win almost every day. I wasn't on them yesterday, should have been, because they won 2 more times yesterday against a terrible Nats team. But, there's teams like that, there's teams like Baltimore, these sort of surprising early teams that, let's be honest, are the Pirates going to keep this up all year? Maybe not. But what I would say for MLB betting is ride the streaks when you can get them. Like, if they're going to continue, giving me 1.5 runs with the Pirates, like almost every day, you're going to keep betting them until something changes. So, and you'll see from the team rankings that, some of these surprise teams, the rankings sort of bear out the early season success that they've had. So, we're going to continue to ride the hot teams, and we're going to continue to fade the bad ones until we see evidence to suggest otherwise, and it may come back to bite us. But for now, we're going to keep going and laughing our way to the ticket counter. So that's what we're going to do. So like I said, now really want to get into sort of the league leaders. And I guess early season, we didn't know what was going to happen with the rule changes. But thankfully, and you'll see from some of the stats, a few early season surprises when it comes to sort of individual player leaders. But when it comes to team leaders, it doesn't really matter. If you're the Tampa Bay Rays, you're a good team regardless. So we'll get into that in a minute. But league leaders, we'll start with batting average. And Luis Arraez is basically, I think, about 70 points ahead of everyone, hitting 442. And as a Mets fan, we saw him the first series when the Mets played the Marlins, in Miami, and he just hit everything. This guy's just a good ball player. Shame that he's on a dreadful Marlins team, although they have won some games at home, so they've been maybe more competitive than people thought they would be. But Luis Ariz is the real deal. I would expect him to have a high average all year, and he won a batting championship in the American League last year. He could very well win again in the National League this year. Trying to see, nobody else really stands to mind. Matt Chapman second, Acuna third, Estrada fourth, Marsh fifth. Nothing really stand out there, but just wanted to mention Luis Arias because he's had a great start to the year. And think about it this way: if he ever goes down, Miami doesn't hit as it is. He's really the only guy sort of that is, hitting the ball on a consistent basis. So, if Arias goes down, you're going to be fading the Marlins pretty much every game. When it comes to home runs, again, Max Muncy for the Dodgers in first, Wisdom for the Cubs in second. Well, three-way tie for second, really. Wisdom, Devers, and Alonso all have 10. Matt Olson with 8 for the Braves. Again, maybe a bit surprising considering the start he got off to, not to see Aaron Judge up there. Obviously, he sat out yesterday. But yeah, I mean, kind of, maybe Alonso, Devers, you could see them being there. Yeah, Muncy has some power as well. I think Wisdom is the big surprise for the Cubs. And let's be honest, I mean, the Cubs have sort of been, maybe not expected to get off to as good of a start as they have. So, kind of an interesting situation there. And what I would say is, again, kind of surprising not to see sort of, the names that you would normally expect to be there. The Trouts, the Otanis, the Aaron Judges, and I guess it makes sense sort of when you start to look at some of these numbers why some teams are where they are. In terms of RBIs, looking at Garcia in first, Rosarena second, Devers, Alvarez tied with 27, and then Olsen with 25. Interesting that 2 Astros are at the lead in RBIs, but the team hasn't gotten off to a good start. So, nothing really descript there. I think probably the biggest surprise, though, for me at least, looking at sort of the early numbers, were the ERA leaders in baseball. And I said it in my picks today. I picked Minnesota. Sonny Gray is the best pitcher in baseball. Or at least statistically wise, he's been the best pitcher in baseball. You look at Sonny Gray, and again, we're always looking at Sonny Gray on his road starts to fade him, but 0.62 ERA thus far. He's been tremendous for the Twins, who have seemed to have good pitching for most of the year. And yeah, it's shocking to see him up there. I actually think that Gerrit Cole, to me, stands out as the early sort of Cy Young guy that I'm looking at. He's been tremendous to the Yankees, really sort of stabilizing them, and it has become sort of their stopper on the hill, especially considering some of the bad starting pitching they've gotten from Johnny Brito, although he had a decent start yesterday. Clark Schmidt, human gas can. So I would be looking at Gerrit Cole for my long-term Cy Young sort of, situations because he's been pitching great. But Steele, Strider, and Castillo are round out the top 5. And yes, Steele's been very good. We have a bet on him today. Strider, we keep trying to bet against the Mets. They won't let us do it. And Castillo, again, if you watch the channel, I mean, you look at it, pretty much all these pitchers are guys that I've consistently backed. And again, why not? I mean, if they're going to give us these guys at short prices and they're the ERA leaders, we're gonna take it until shown otherwise. Now, here's where I think we get into really sort of crazy town. The league leader and we talked about all the change in the rules and how things are going to be different and less reliant on the home run ball and more hitting for average. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter because when you look at batting average, home runs, RBIs, oh, and by the way, ERA, the Rays lead the league in all of them. I mean, that's how you get off to a 23-5 start, folks. The Tampa Bay Rays are right now, and again, long season, been the best team in baseball by a mile. I mean, you look at it, they're leading in almost every offensive category, have the best ERA in baseball. I mean, what are you going to say? And they're 50 points. I mean, they're 50 points lower than the second place Astros in ERA. So you look at what Tampa has done, and I mean, they're the best team in baseball, and they've come to the point where they're the few teams in Major League Baseball where I think it's basically they're almost, you cannot bet against them, which is hard because a lot of times you look to sort of fade the teams that get off to really hot starts and you're wondering regression to the mean. But right now, the way they're playing, it's just you can't bet against them. They may lose some games. I'm not saying bet on them every day, but until they slow down, I mean, the way they play in this White Sox series, I mean, they've just crushed the shit out of the White Sox. Dylan Cease was tattooed. Giolito, not good enough. I mean, the Rays have just been another one. The Rays, the Pirates, Braves on the road, just printing money. So, you know, hard to get away from them. Going back to batting average, I guess looking at it, maybe a little bit surprise team for me. Cubs, Phillies, Pirates, D-backs round out the top 5. I guess the Diamondbacks, 267, tied for 5th place in batting average. A bit of a surprise to me. Not really a team that was hitting earlier in the year. They've been hitting better recently. I guess playing in Colorado will do that. We actually have a bet on the Diamondbacks today. So that's a bit of a surprise there in batting average. When it comes to home runs, I think the interesting thing when you look at it is the Giants are actually 3rd with 43, Dodgers with 47, Braves, and then the Angels to round out the top 5. I think it's curious that the Dodgers, Giants, and Angels are all like top 5 in home runs, but don't necessarily have great like offenses or haven't really gotten off to the best starts to start the year. You know, I think when you think of sort of the teams with the best offenses, obviously you're thinking of the Rays. Baltimore has a good offense. The Cubs have hit. So it goes to show you sort of how the rule changes have really, you know, changed sort of the calculus and how the home run ball doesn't necessarily been translating to a lot of runs. And you look at it, I mean, it makes sense. Rays are top of the league in RBIs. But you also have the Rangers in 2nd, Boston in 3rd, the Pirates in 4th, Angels in 5th. And the Pirates have been doing it. They actually lead the league in stolen bases. So they're an example of a team that necessarily hasn't, you know, gone yard all the time, but has had a massive offense just by using the new rules, using the steals, and sort of, you know, taking what the defense gives them. And it's odd, too, to think that the Pirates, top 5 in ERA with 341, they're 5th. Astros, Yankees, Braves round out the middle there. And again, it just very surprising sort of when you look at it, the underlying numbers really, and it's very strange because people have talked a lot about the Cardinals being a bad team with sort of the underlying numbers supporting the fact that they should be better. But when you look at sort of the league leaders when it comes to team-wise, I mean, you know, they're not there. And the fact that the Pirates are, you know, 4th in average and 5th in ERA, that's a shock. The Astros ERA is pretty good, so you would expect them to start to turn the corner. I'm not sure about the Yankees offense. Obviously, the Braves are good. So, you know, I think the whole point is, and my advice for the baseball season would be basically you ride the hot hands until it changes. Baseball is a streaky sport. Teams get hot, teams get cold. Pitchers get hot, pitchers get cold. So you sort of just got to take what the market's giving you. And if the market isn't going to adapt, you know, that's more that we could take advantage of. So, like I said, it's been a great week. Been an interesting start to start the MLB season. Definitely a lot of surprises that, you know, maybe we weren't expecting. And with that, you know, it's almost the end of the video. So you know what that means. Whenever we have a successful week, you always have to go and celebrate. Now, I'm feeling under the weather still a little bit, but, you know, winning takes that away. So, with that, there's nothing else to do but celebrate another successful week, another Schlager Sunday for the Distinguished Degents MLB pick segment. So, congratulations to everyone who tailed me. Hope you guys have been making some money on MLB. Definitely going to be doing more videos. Hoping to do an NFL futures video with Big Bucks soon. So definitely feel free to hopefully be able to check that out. Definitely be more baseball coming up. As you guys know, every day as long as I'm able to do it. Big Bucks, I know he's been busy the past few days. He's had some hockey plays that have, sort of been hit or miss. So, hopefully he'll have some more hockey plays coming up. But yeah, other than that, to another successful week. Distinguished D-Gents, signing off. Hallelujah.